Welcome back to the Star Report. This is Jason with this week's Star Report beginning March 23rd through next Wednesday. So that'd be 7 days. So that'd be to the end of the month, to the 30th. And this week continues if you're in the Western world and you have Christian friends. This happens to be the continuation of Lent, which in Lent, there is a whole lot of nothing in particular happening except for contemplation about what kind of person you are and what that means and how that's going to shift. A lot of times it's about self-reflection on things that you haven't done or could have done better or that haven't lived up to what's coming at the end of Lent, which is the Easter, which hasn't lived up to the sacrifices of Jesus. And so the cosmic stuff that's going on is very similar. There's a whole lot of normal things happening. There's a couple transits here and there. The sun itself, the solar disk that's in the sky, has been kind of quiet. There's been a couple of coronal hole streams. And of course, the quietness of the sun also leads to a lot of tension on the planet, because the planet gets most of its shielding from being charged by the sun. And so when there aren't enough flares, then it starts to become more chaotic on the surface of the planet. And people who are living in the United States this week would have noticed that there was a lot of storms moving through the South and the Midwest, and lots of lightning and tornadoes and destruction. And so that would have been brought on by low solar activity. And so that electromagnetic charge, that destruction, is all about this same thing that's going on in the Christian West, about Lent, about what's going on, what needs to be destroyed, what kind of storms are brewing and moving through not only the surface of the planet, but the, I guess, the interior of our own souls. And so cosmically, this week, I believe it's going to be on Saturday. The moon is going to be the closest it's going to be all month. And so when the moon is closer, you want to think of the sun and the moon as two ends of an electrical current. And so when the moon is closer, we get to be grounded, or we get to charge ourselves up with quote unquote negative charged energy, not negativity, of course, but negative charged energy when the moon comes. And that's why the moon is so refreshing. So that's going to be, I believe, Saturday that the moon is the closest. And so when that happens, that's the opportunity for all this contemplation, all this destruction, all this storm stuff that's been going on this week to really magnetize in. When you have a negative charge, you bring in positive energy, right? So when that moon gets really close to the planet, we should look for Saturday to bring us a lot of positive energy and aha moments and breakthroughs on all this contemplation that we've been doing. But the other thing that, if you remember from last week, we talked about the spring equinox that just occurred on Sunday, so 3 days ago, was a really important pivotal point that came right past the full moon. And so that full moon equinox really caused us to question our relationships. And so that questioning of our relationships really has been intense. Like, it hasn't let up. And then all these storms that have sort of moved through, this electrical magnetic sort of tornadoes and lightning storms and high winds, have really been causing us to like get anxious, like we need to make a change. And so this thing that's coming up, I believe it is, well, it started to happen, I believe yesterday, is the Mars transit or squaring of Uranus. And so Mars is part of our personal drive and how we sort of find ourselves motivated to be us. And so in Aquarius, Mars craves freedom above all else, right? So that sort of push as this square happens is we're really trying to have autonomy. And the reason that's challenging into relationships is we are in the energy of acting for ourselves. And when you're in a relationship, it's hard to act by just yourself for just yourself without feeling selfish, or having to take into account the reactionary instances you might get from a partner that you're in a relationship with. And so it's not helping that with the Uranus is also in Aquarius, or is ruled by Aquarius, and so that is really about the energy of liberation, right? So you're being pushed to liberate yourself from relationship, and so I would take a pause and sort of use this sort of storm energy, this electromagnetic stuff, to reground, to reconnect into a higher electrical connection. So you can liberate yourself from the old ways of being connected to certain things, without having to leave the connection altogether. And just the sheer nature, like we were just talking about the moon, just by the sheer nature of the moon getting closer or the sun getting closer, then we change the charge of what we are and what we're sort of emanating with. So you should sort of change or pay attention to this feeling of liberation in your relationships this week, to maybe even just put some mental distance between all the storms that have been happening this past week and all this change, and sort of see what that distance does to the electrical charge, right? Whether it increases it, whether it turns up the volume on the positivity. If you can't find the right distance between each other, and the electrical connection doesn't seem to be reconnecting or sending the right voltage through for you, maybe you could even reevaluate at that point, probably towards the end of the week, closer to next Wednesday. Hey, maybe I need to have a conversation with who I'm connected with in this relationship stuff. And of course, this is the interpersonal understanding of that information. This could also go for family relationships and even job relationships. Is the job revealing to you who you really want to be at your core? And is it giving you the necessary energy and direction for what you think your life is supposed to be doing? So circling back to the idea of this Western world being in the time of Lent, of self-contemplation, of what am I and how am I connecting to source, to God, to Jesus, and how am I carrying or moving that current that comes to me from source, right? So how are we modeling or modifying ourselves to be that fractal of God that we are, right? If we're a divine eternal soul that's never going to die, and we are worthy of love and affection, how have we been contemplating, especially since the equinox last week, who we are and what's our worth, and then how to embody that, how to be charged with that self-worth in a way that is able to connect the current between our relationships, our path in life, and then our understanding and our hopes for what we have to do, right? So this is a sort of a calm cosmic time. I mean, the surface of the planet seems to be, if you're paying attention to the news or media or even social media, the planet seems to be collapsing, and social norms seem to be being readjusted. But just think that what's happening right now is there's super amounts of current being sent through the system, meaning our system and the solar system, to allow us to readjust our distance and allow us to readjust our path with the electricity, with the devotion, with the connections that we would like, and that give us energy that complete a circuit back so that we are uplifted and not drained. So what turned out to be what looks like a calm week cosmically, what sort of looks like a calm week solarly, what looks like a calm week intergalactically, has turned out to be quite intense. You know, we've had the storms, we've had the equinox, we have planetary wars going on. But what really is sort of happening is the opportunity to adjust the amperage that the universe, that source, is giving us, so that we can actually know who we are and be that, and find circuits and connections that are simpatico, are matching our own current, so that we're not stuck into a light socket or a relationship or a job that isn't giving us electricity back. So I hope that is a good bit of news for you, that, hey, it's all going to be okay, and you are still the divine sovereign, which is in control of this energy. right? Even though it seems cosmic, even though it seems that from outside of yourselves, you are, for all intents and purposes, the regulator or the resonator or the piece of electrical equipment that regulates flow and current. For all of you who are smarter than me about electric stuff like that, that you're in control. And this time of upheaval should be a time of calm reflection, because it's not about the end of you, it's about the refining of you, or the revelation of what you actually have inside. So find what makes you lit up, find what gives you some charge this week, and we'll see you back here next week for the Star Report with me, Jason, your host. Until then, many blessings.